Hi, everyone. So glad that you could join us. My name is Rag Harshavat, and I'm on the AR Developer Relations team here at Snap. I am so excited that you all have joined us for this session, and I'm sure many more people are going to be joining as we begin. Today's session is all about using Snapchat. And what does that really mean? Is we want to really dive into what it means to use Snapchat as a lens developer and how you can promote your lenses and various other things of that. So this is going to be a really, really great session where we're going to cover a lot of details that I think will be surprising and will help you be better at using our platform for your lens development career and for the various programs that we have here at Snapchat. So anyways, fantastic to have you all here. Why are we doing this series? Well, the answer is because we have an incredible Lensathon going on right now, and I'm going to drop the link right now in the chat. So glad you're all here. This is the Lenslist Challenge that we partnered with Lenslist, which is a great organization. You should check out their website. They're dedicated to AR. But very specifically, we're looking at a contest that's all about video posting. The Spring into Action Lensathon is where you can build lenses, and we want to encourage you to build lenses that really lead to making great, interesting videos. We have 4 different categories that you can make lenses for: pop culture, interactive, self-expression, and the world around you. And we're also giving out weekly engagement prizes. This week's prizes will probably be announced tomorrow. But we're really excited about how this contest is going to teach you and encourage you to be better with figuring out how lenses can support video. We've already done 2 really great streams. One has been one on interactive lenses. We worked with Nico Hessia, an SLN member, to go over some really basic concepts of how to make really effective interactive lenses, which is one of our great categories and a way that you can work. And then we have a whole another session that was all about how do you think about lenses and in relation to video. There was so much amazing information. You can find that on YouTube and you can watch that session. If you haven't seen it yet, I absolutely recommend checking it out. But today, we're really excited about this contest where you can win prizes of a pool of $30,000 passed around to it was 48 different lenses. But we're here to talk specifically about Snapchat. And joining me today, I have Tariq White, who is here to speak as a product manager of Snap, who can talk a lot about how to use this application to work as a lens creator. Let's introduce Tariq.
Cool. Thanks for that warm welcome, Rag. Hi, everyone. Some of you I do know, some of you I don't, but I'm a product manager at Snap focused on lens creator success, i.e. the success of all of you. And I'm super excited to be here, and I'm excited that Rag and folks tapped me to join you all. We have a lot of good information to cover. Some of it is a bit of a refresher that I've covered in past chats through LensFest, if you were there, as well as some other forums. But there is a lot of good new information for you, and specifically how you can think about once you create a lens, how it lives on Snapchat, where Snapchatters and yourself can find it, and how you can grow the engagement of that lens. So with that being said, let's dive in. So I have 3 takeaways for you all. Basically, by the end of the session, you will understand the different ways that Snapchatter engage with your lenses, both older ways and new ways. We've had a lot of great feature launches in the past couple months that are meant to help you guys find increased engagement. How we distribute your lenses to our global community. This will talk about basically ranking and some new things we've done there. This is mostly for you to think about, as you build these lenses and you know a bit more about how we distribute these lenses, how you can create lenses that continue to enjoy a lot of success. And then finally, probably the most straightforward part for a lot of you all, if you're a Snapchatter, a daily Snapchatter, is how you can self-promote your own lenses. So number 1, how do Snapchatters engage with your lenses? So as I said, at LensFest last fall, we had just launched this really cool feature here on the main camera as soon as you open Snapchat. And it was basically this lens view icon that I've highlighted here. And when you tap on that icon, there are 2 things. The icon is meant to show Snapchatters how many views that your lens has gotten. to kind of inspire them to action on it and to click on it and to engage with it. And then by clicking on that icon, you could see all the great content that they've created with your lens. So this is still in the product. This is still one of the easiest ways for Snapchatters to find, before they take their own snap with your lens. Some people want to see how it's being used by the community. So this is a feature we launched last November around Lens Fest. The second thing we did, this was a Lens Fest announcement that I kind of wanted to reiterate, is at the bottom, as you start swiping on that carousel in the main camera, we have a lot of different AR categories there. And we're always experimenting with new categories. And one that we've added, which is really fun, is Top on Spotlight, which shows basically the top lenses that are being used in video content. And this category is super exciting because it's mostly community creators who are featured there, which is super exciting. And, as you all build your lenses throughout this Lensathon, you might find that you end up there, which is, which is yet another way for Snapchatters to engage with your lens. Okay. So we've had a few new features that have launched even in the last few weeks, and I'm super excited to chat with you all about that you may not have known about. So the first is we always have had a big stake in Spotlight. AR is a big presence there, and we are continuing to grow it. A feature that we are currently rolling out globally is this views on the context card and Spotlight. So the idea here is that when a Snapchatter is looking through the video feed, they're able to see how many views the lens has gotten, and that's meant to inspire them to take action. So if they see a lens has gotten a lot of views, we found in our data and our measurement that this gives a sense of, it adds to the sense of people wanting to jump on a trend. And so like the shot clock lens, for example, which has 15 million views, if I see that scrolling in the feed, I might say, hey, it has 15 million views. Let me at least see what this lens is about. Also rolling out globally in the next week is we've taken a bigger stake for lenses within stories, both public and private stories. So when a user is looking at their friend's stories and there's a lens being used, you can easily see the lens that is being used, as well as, again, the views. The same concept as the slide before, where we really want to inspire people to jump on a trend and for them to actually easily get to the lens and start posting their own content. A couple months ago, we actually launched an entirely new experience to make it even easier for people to see content called this. We call it the info card. But essentially, the idea here is that Snapchatters, when they're on the main camera, will be able to see more content made with the lens, as well as the views that it has, and even see some similar lenses. And so, again, the idea here is really that we want to make lens discovery just simple for people. And so one thing I'll talk about later in the presentation is we really encourage now more than ever lens creators who create lenses to actually create their own Spotlight video, and create a fun Spotlight video based on the presentation that was given yesterday by Jenny on the Spotlight team. Because when you do that, your video is going to show up here. And your video is going to be one of the first ones that people see. And it's going to inspire them to action on that lens even more. So for example, if they see you with funny content with your lens, it'll increase the chances that they're going to actually post content using your lens, which sets you up for better success within this Lensathon. And then the last thing, which isn't a new feature, but it's still something to keep in mind, is a lot of people always forget about public profiles. But please don't forget about them. In fact, everyone over the age of 18 by default now has a public profile. And so this is meant to give you a public presence on Snapchat. And when you create lenses, they actually are going to show up here. And this is a portfolio of your best work. And so this is by far the easiest way for Snapchatters to find more of your work if they find a cool lens that you make throughout the Lensathon. So number two is a very, very important area. And this is related to how do we distribute lenses within Snapchat. And a lot of this comes down, or actually all of this comes down to what we call ranking. And that's our algorithm we use to decide how to serve lenses to the right people at the right time. So A refresher, Lens Creator Success is a lens ranking priority. And this is a recap. So this recap was presented at Lens Fest in the fall. I want to go through this recap before I show you what we've done that is even newer for ranking, only because it helps you understand ranking. And it's new. It's probably new for quite a few folks on here. But our mission is to get new lenses into the carousel as fast as possible, such that more Snapchatters find them more quickly, and we are able to get you views more quickly. 2, we give all new lenses a fair chance at success. That means that lenses that enter ranking that are created by the community also have the same chance at success that as the lenses we create internally, which is very important, because that means that all these lenses get thrown into a pool, and it's up to the community to decide how they want to engage with each of them and which lens gets the most views or gets more views. And number 3, we've improved our detection and distribution of trending lenses. And so you all may find that as you build lenses within this lensathon towards a trend or a theme, that lens is probably more likely to be successful, because we pick up on these trends and surface them even quicker than some of the other types of lenses. Okay, so that's a recap of ranking. So what's new? And this part is really, really exciting, because it's going to peel back a little more of how we distribute those lenses. And I want you guys to keep these all in mind as you continue to build lenses for this lensathon. So number 1, we now are able to observe how new lenses perform over more days and across more different cohorts. So we're able to take into consideration country, age, gender, all these different things of Snapchatters who are engaging with your lenses over more days. And then number 2, we improved our lens understanding. So now we are better able to determine what a new lens is, how it's applied, and especially when it's going to be relevant to a Snapchatter. So again, getting the right lens to the right Snapchatter at the right time is crucial. And this lens understanding process is so helpful for that. And then the third thing is, which I'm super excited about, we leverage 1 and 2 and the knowledge of those users outlined in number 1 to personalize even more which lenses are distributed to Snapchatters. So for example, if I am a Snapchatter who loves to post videos or who loves to just post to my public and private story, we're probably are more likely to give them, serve them lenses that have like higher post rates, lenses that have that broadcast entertainment value that we always talk about, which means that we create this sort of flywheel whereby you guys creating lenses that are meant for video and posting, we're going to serve more of those lenses to more posters on Snapchat who are going to in turn post more, and it'll sort of create a fan out. So this is super, super exciting and hyper relevant to everyone within this lensathon, because, and I just want to reiterate that as you're building your lenses, I want you to remember all these things. So Rog mentioned 4 different categories. I've mentioned that we are able to personalize lenses based on Snapchatters, and then especially that trending and culturally relevant items are always fair game and probably are, the ones that are the most likely to be super successful, because we know everyone loves a trending moment. So really, really think about what you're building, the topics you're building around as you continue with this lensathon. Number 3. So number 3, if you're a Snapchatter, these are going to seem quite, they're going to seem quite, kind of like me just reiterating what you already know. But I do want to give some tidbits as we go along, because there are some areas that even daily Snapchatters and lens creators don't utilize, which are super helpful. This one goes without saying, and I'm sure a lot of you do this once you create a lens, or if you don't, I highly encourage you to, is as soon as you create a lens and it's live on Snapchat, send it to friends. That is by far the easiest way to create a network effect. And in fact, when you send a lens to a friend and the friend obviously knows you, they're familiar with you, they're probably more likely to respond, more likely to post the lens, and more likely to send it to their friends. So to create a network effect. And I love to do this too. When I create a lens, I actually send it to my friends, especially my friends I know who are funny or who are entertaining. And I encourage them to create their own content because when they create their own content, it shows up in those different surfaces we talked about earlier, which increases the chances that other Snapchatters are going to use the lens. Again, this one goes without saying, but a lot of lens creators we find still don't necessarily do this. Post your lens to your story, both your public and private. This is the easiest thing you can do. And it gives your lens more visibility in stories. And it it also, because, and to kind of iterate what we talked about last or earlier in the slides, that new feature we now have on stories, when you post your lenses to your story, Snapchatters are going to have an easier time determining that A, there's a lens that's being used in the story, B, how many views it has, and C, they're probably going to be more likely to click on it. And, stories stay live for 24 hours. So you have a longer time for people to be able to see your lens and interact with it. So please, I highly, highly encourage you to post your own lens to your stories. This one is one that I know a lot of lens creators don't ever utilize. And I'm here to tell you that Snap Map is such an underutilized surface. And I love Snap Map. And it's such a good way to get quote unquote free eyeballs and free views on your lens. Especially if you live in an area where there are hot spots, like different locations. I live in Los Angeles, California. And so you might imagine when I post to my Snap Map, there are just so many more views because there are so many hot spots and so many different touristy areas in Los Angeles. So all that being said, when you, post a lens to your story, you also have the option to post it to Snap Map, and you should always be clicking Snap Map as well, because again, it gets you some free eyeballs. This one is one that our lens creators don't do a lot, but I think a lot of them are coming around to it. It's really in just your comfort level. But as I said, for all of you who are in this lensathon, it goes without saying that when you create a sick lens that you know is meant for video and entertainment, you should be creating your own spotlight in the app with that lens. I've highlighted here on the right what that looks like. Also, hashtag lensathon24, which I think a lot of people are doing. But posting to Spotlight, especially when you, the lens creator, does it, allows your lens to show up in a number of places that I've talked about earlier in the different features, and it just gets more eyeballs on your lens. And Spotlight has its own ranking algorithm as well. So in addition to our lens ranking algorithm, Spotlight has its own algorithm. And so as people use your lens and content, that, it's going to be ranked higher in the Spotlight feed, more eyeballs on it. That all contributes to your views and to additional posts. And so just to reiterate, post your lens to Spotlight, which will allow it to show up in a number of places. And be sure to follow the Spotlight best practices, which Jenny outlined. I believe it was yesterday, right, Rob, when they gave their presentation?
Sorry, I was muted. Last week, we had a really great presentation.
Last week, yeah, which will be live, I think.
Channel for a little bit more about that.
Yeah, cool. So be sure to follow those. And yeah, that was the last tidbit of information I had for you all. So with that being said, I'm going to open it up to any questions that you may have about what we talked about. Yeah, and so please put these questions into the chat. I know it will take a minute or two. So Rick, I wanted to touch on a few of these topics. First of all, when it comes to SnapMap, I'd love to know just a little bit more about like how exactly the mechanics of that work for a lot of folks. So basically, when they I don't know if you want to go back to that slide and maybe see it, but like basically, I just want to make sure that everyone knows, if you could go in a little more detail about like how it physically works to attach to a place. Yeah. So what's actually funny is if you all zoom in on this presentation here, this screenshot, this is actually my own SnapMap. And I was at the Venice Canals. I think I posted this like a few months ago, like last year. What actually ends up happening is that SnapMap in general has this, it's a heat map. And so kind of here by the Venice sign in Venice, California, you can see that places that are more frequented tend to have a heat map or tend to show up a different color. And, Snapchatters love Snap Maps. They use it for recommendations on places to go. Sometimes people want to use it, I know I do, to see how particularly busy an area is. And so they'll go to, they'll look at the Venice sign on this, they'll click that heat map, and they'll get to see all the different snaps that were attached to that location in the past X amount of time. And what ends up happening, as you might imagine, is that as they're going through, they see, they'll see regular content of people just taking like selfies there, posting it. But then occasionally, and this is why I say it's underutilized, is that there'll be a photo that someone takes at, I don't know, the Venice sign with a lens applied. And again, when someone sees that, they're more likely to, at least stop and say, hey, what is that? And then interact with that lens. And so I always just encourage that, especially if you as I said before, if you live by close to a place on the snap map, which is highly frequented, because people do look at, those snaps attached to a location to determine A, if they want to go to that place or what's going on. And then B, just to see other folks' content and, kind of feel like a part of something bigger than themselves. I'll even be at home sometimes and I'll look at different areas on the snap map that are like 30 miles away from me just to see kind of what's going on and what's happening.
This is incredible advice. So everyone in the audience, I mean, it's really like Snapchat is an app that can do so many different things, and it's all about getting people to interface with the world around them and with the people around them. And so one of the things you have to consider when you're creating your lenses is, I know we sometimes get caught up in like how our lens, technically works or different things like that. But it's important to understand that it's ultimately designed, you're making this lens so people can use it. And so you should utilize Snapchat to make sure that people see and use it. And I think that comes back to video as well. A lot of what we talked about last week was about how, a video or a spotlight is a great opportunity for you to promote and show people how to use your lens. And so when I see a lot of folks and people using, very simple preview videos or using the stock preview videos, I totally get it. It's very quick to have Snapchat or have Lens Studio automatically generate them. But I want to encourage you that people will use your lens if they feel like there's someone behind it. So we just generally think it's a much better method to create your own video content. Snapchat's a social and video platform. So learning some skills about video and social, I think, is really helpful in promoting yourself. Okay, so let's dive into some questions. Can we explain a little bit more about how Spotlight gives more eyes on lens views? Tariq, I know we talked a little bit about that, but just further reiterating it, do you want to talk about that process?
Yeah, do you mind repeating the question? Sorry, the audio cut out.
Yeah, no worries. Can you explain how Spotlight gives more views to lenses?
Yeah, of course. I had a good screenshot here that I'll go back to. Yeah, here's a screenshot from Spotlight. You guys might recognize Jenny, who is one of my colleagues who gave the Spotlight chat last week. But yeah, essentially, like I said, there are two different things. So the way I said that you should think of Snap Map as a surface that gives you free eyeballs, Spotlight is too, because like I said, it has its completely own ranking. Well, not completely different, but it has its own ranking algorithm, and that obviously maximizes for different things. But what it absolutely does a good job at is there are a lot of folks who just go to Snapchat to casually scroll through Spotlight like a video feed without even engaging with friends. You can imagine that someone just wants to kill some time and go to Spotlight. How it gives you more views, though, is that we attach at the bottom, we call this thing there a context card, which if someone is scrolling through content, it's kind of like, it's exactly like TikTok effect or like TikTok. When you're scrolling through the feed, you see some cool content. What we do is we show you, oh, here's all the stuff that was used in it. And lenses are always first. That's something we launched last fall, is that whenever you scroll in a video in Spotlight, you'll see that lens context card first, because we have such a big stake in AR that we want you to action on it. And as I said, that we also make it easy. If you see a cool video and you're like, oh my God, I want to try this. When you click on that context card, you go directly to the lens. So that gives you one action to create something with the lens and send to friends. And so we made it easier for AR to be surfaced in the content. And then again, because Spotlight has its own ranking algorithm, it's going to boost and rank that content to different folks it thinks are more likely to engage with the content. And so I hope that makes sense. Basically, what we're trying to do in Spotlight is create a flywheel as well, which is why I'm encouraging you all who create lenses to post a Spotlight, because if you create something funny or entertaining, someone sees it and they're like, oh, that's cool, I want to jump on that trend. They click on the context card, and before you know it, they're able to create a lens and post it and send it to friends, etc. Does that make sense?
I think that's an incredible, observation. I think folks can really learn a lot about, how video can help. You know, we talk all about all the different skills that you want to learn as a lens creator. You want to be good at 3D modeling, and you want to code, and you want to be able to, build interactions and different things. But I think video creation is a little bit underrated in that skill set, but I think it's something that's important. If you're going to be in social AR and use Snap, like, you're wanting to create better videos to create better content. And there's videos in terms of like how other people make videos with your lens, which is important to think about how you design the lens, but also just you yourself using videos to promote your lens, I think is just a great thing. And that's something that we were trying to get across as we put together this content.
Can I add one more piece to that?
Yeah.
One thing I will say that I hope drives this home is that, and maybe Rog, you can, help fill in the gaps where I don't fill them in, is it's incumbent on us as lens creators to teach Snapchatters how to use our lenses. And what I mean by that, and why I'm encouraging you guys to really go above and beyond to self-promote your own lenses, is that you might build a lens that was intended in your head for X, and then Snapchatters use the lens and are using it for completely different things in video or whatever. Great lenses are even more great when they're coupled with great content. And so that's kind of why we keep pushing this video, is that some lenses are pretty self-explanatory on their own, but others, especially the lenses that you guys are creating for this Lensathon, Snapchatters may not know that. Some may just scroll and see the lens and post it to their story when in fact you intended it for video. So that's kind of why we have to help them. And that's the last bit I wanted to say.
Amazing. There was one question about creator rewards real quick, and we're going to answer it real quickly. It's basically just how many maximum people can get an award. We don't actually have a number that we put on that. The best way to describe it, though, is we did make a point on our March post to make sure you realize that, like, that's not everyone who's getting rewarded for creator rewards. We sample a small portion of the rewards and put them on a post each week. I think that there's been some misunderstanding that's everyone who gets rewarded. That's not true. The Creator Rewards Program is a really exciting opportunity for you to create lenses that utilize a lot of these techniques that we just talked about here today to get high engagement that's determined by a proprietary formula. But that allows you to get into a situation where you might be able to win some of these awards.
Yeah, and to add to that, we released a blog, I believe it was yesterday. Rog, I don't know if you have the link handy that you're able to share in the chat with folks.
Let me see if I can find it. Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot, but while I yabber, we actually have some really exciting updates coming to Lens Creator Rewards. Can't give too many more details about that, but one thing that we are adding, which we think will be extremely helpful, is in a couple weeks we'll be adding some new metrics to my lenses. And those are going to be new metrics that are really around helping you understand posts with your lens, things that you don't have today. So stay tuned. We'll do an announcement, but in the next couple weeks, or hopefully in the next week, you'll be starting to see some new metrics that you can use to refine and build new lenses.
Yeah, and it's a program that's really exciting. We've learned a lot from our creator community about what people are responding to, and we've also learned a lot about how to create really amazing lenses. A lot of those lessons that we're sharing today come from a lot of the thought that came from seeing all of you just continue to make incredible content. So really, really exciting. Do we plan to implement another type of monetization for lenses? I think that's a complicated question. There's a lot of different ways, and we can't cover them all now, that you can profit from being a lens creator. Creator Rewards is one of the primary ways that we currently promote, and really recommend taking a look at Snap AR and our website to find out some of the other contents and opportunities that are. Fantastic. So I guess just to kind of, and maybe another question slips through at the end here, but to just kind of wrap it up, I wanted to talk a little bit more about self-promotion in your lenses and sharing your lenses. I just feel like sometimes that's not a step that people take. But Tariq, you attested to it, like it does make a difference, right?
Yeah, we see it anecdotally and actually in the data when we run tests on different types of experiences, which is why every experience you saw that was new, we launched, because it increases some metric. It inspires people when they're seeing your lenses with content to action on it.
Yeah, I think that, yeah, go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if you're going to talk about people's comfortability with posting. That's a different thing. But just know, like, that if you do decide to self-promote yourself, it does really pay dividends.
Yeah, and it's so funny because one of the great things about lens creation is you can create things that can make you feel more comfortable. It's literally like in terms of like putting, turning yourself into a character and expressing yourself that way. I mean, that's why, some of our categories are centered around self-expression, because we think lenses are such an amazing way to express yourself. And so we're hoping for the same reason, if your lens can make you want to express yourself, then it probably is going to help other people express themselves too. And that really is a good litmus test, so to speak, for you to understand whether your lens is going to take with people. If it helps you, then it can probably help someone else.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like if you, some people are really comfortable. Some people like have the, like want to be, content creators as well. But to your point, Rog, create some kind of cool face mask that's culturally relevant and post some fun content with it. I don't know. It just really helps to self-promote. And not even, you don't even, self-promotion, remember, there are different ways. You can send it to friends who usually action on your lenses. There's posted to Snap Map where there's, that anonymity there. There are a lot of different ways you can self-promote. It doesn't have to be creating your own viral video content.
Yeah, absolutely. And, okay, so there's a question about what kind of narratives work in lenses for this challenge. And I think, this is why we've set up 4 categories, because we want you to explore those particular things. The other thing I recommend doing is just go ahead into Snapchat right now and type in, go to the search bar and type in Lensathon 24. You'll actually see a lot of the spotlights that other creators are using and creating, so you can be inspired by the work that they're producing. I think that's a really great thing that I recommend everyone do as you're considering to participate in this contest, either for your first time or if you're looking to make more lenses for this contest. That's a great way to go. But furthermore, I just, when it comes now, this is what we covered in our last session, so I please recommend checking out that YouTube stream, because we really dove deep into what makes the interplay between video and lenses. But what you're looking for with these categories is you're in some ways, you're not just thinking about, normally you're creating a lens where you're thinking, oh, someone's going to want to put this on their face and they're going to have fun. But what this is someone who's going to want to use this lens and then they're going to want to share it. It's a different audience. You're looking for people who want to share in this context. And so what can you do to appeal to that audience of people? And so narratives that work for that, are shown throughout our link page for the Lens List contest. So like absolutely check out some of the examples that we posted there, and check out some of the winning examples that have come out each week, which you can follow on the Lens List Instagram and Snapchat page, all of their different social media places. But like basically what you want to see is just a really exciting way for engaging people and causing them to create videos. Tariq, do you have anything you want to add there?
No, I think that's right. We also, no, nothing to add. I think the categories you guys put in the project details on the Lens List page really are kind of the things that inspire people to share and to post.
Cool. Amazing. Well, this has been a really fantastic session. And so like, I've really enjoyed getting a chance to talk about this. I put the contest website again on here. And what I want you to think about is really taking a look at the content, going into Snapchat, typing in Lensathon 24 and seeing all of the great spotlights that people are creating. I think that's a great way for you to get inspired further. Amazing.
Good luck, everyone. It was really exciting. And yeah.
Fantastic. Well, it was really great for all of you who joined us on the stream. I hope that you learned a lot from this particular situation and this particular stream. Tyreek, thank you so much for joining us and teaching us so much about the various ways that you can use Snapchat as a Lens developer. Please use this session as reference, and we really thank you all for joining us.
Perfect. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks all.